Hello again. I want you to have a look at the history brush in Photoshop, because if you're a bit stuck with layers and it doesn't really make sense to you, one of the good options is using history brush. Now, history brush is located over here. If you just mouse down on this, you can see there's a history brush and the art history brush. Just make sure that history brush is the one that's selected. I'm going to do this in a normal blend mode, so just look at normal, 100% opacity and 100% flow up there. And I've got an original here, and you can see the brushes by the side of it, and it's also blue. I'm just going to not move that, but just click on the black and white. I've done some very simple conversions, so black and white, just on the adjustments panel, inverted, Control I, Command I, one that's sharpened just with the unsharp mask, and one which is blurred, which is just a bit of Gaussian blur, and they're all just taken as snapshots. So I'm going to paint in normal blend mode, into the original file, and as you can see, nothing is happening because I'm just transferring the data in a normal blend mode. But we have the fade history brush, so it's edit, fade history brush, and from there you can change the blend mode, and there we go with multiply. So that's multiplied the paint brush, the history brush you've just placed onto that original file. We can go back to normal. This is flexible. We've also got the opacity slider in there as well. See, of course, with nothing with normal, of course. It looks normal, so using the opacity slider, nothing will happen. And we've got that there. We've still got the fade history brush option open to us, and it'll be there until we do something else. With black and white, you see there I've gone to a different state, and the fade option has now disappeared. Back to the original again. Let's just click on that fade history brush, and you see it's not there. So you've only got the option of fading the history brush once straight away, just after you're done, before I start doing anything else in these history states that we've got open. So we've worked on the original. Let's have a look at this. If I click by the side of this, that'll transfer the history brush to the black and white layer. We're going to transfer some data from that black and white into our original. And if I just then look at normal, we've got it in normal blend mode at the top. Lots of blend modes to play with. Luminosity is a good one. I'm just going to have a try with that. So we're going to do some black and white luminosity. I know this sounds pretty weird. We're going to paint it into the original. So that black and white conversion is transferring luminosity. It's not transferring the black and white data, it's just transferring the luminosity data into that original file. As ever, you've got to play around with this. You've got to sit down, waste a bit of your own time, learn all these things by trial and error. Some of it doesn't make sense, don't forget, we've got the edit fade again. You can go in there, scroll mouse activated, you can just scroll up and down, see what's going on. Opacity slider as well, just gone off the luminosity off the screen there. Play around. It's good fun. And we're not using layers, but it is a sort of almost like a layer-based way of dealing with your images. I've done an inverted one, which is Control I on the PC, Command I, with normal and 100%. Take it down to say 20-30%. We'll try on this one, and I'm just going to hold the mouse down and just go straight across and just waft in some of that inverted data into my original file. You can see there is sort of like a smoky, horrible, flat as a pancake looking image now. And that's transferring the inverted data into my original. Now then, we've got the fade history brush again. Bring it up, and that should look like the inverted layer. But then we can play with the blend mode. And you can see what's happening. Get some interesting effects in here. Just scroll through. Have a play. Most important thing in Photoshop is to do some non-destructive playing around. Set aside some time to this kind of thing. As usual, if you've got a little notebook, just write down a combination which you think that works. Difference, that looks really funky. Looks like you've burnt your film or buried your film, that kind of thing. Let's go back to the original and zoom in a bit. I want to show you the what you can do with sharpening. And let's find some close detail. See, we're at 200%, so that's quite big on this file because it's a 34 meg JPEG. That's my original. I've got a sharpen one, so I'm going to click by the side of sharpen with a little history brush icon there, and I'm going to transfer with the history brush some sharpening into my original. Let's just pop the opacity up to 100% there. and just paint in sharpening. So you can target sharpening. There's no masking, nothing else you can work on. If you've finished your processing, you just do a copy snapshot and then just paint in the sharpening you've done where you want it to into your original file. So we've got some sharpening in there into our original, and it looks quite interesting. We've got targeted sharpening, and let's do it again. So will it sharpen over the top? Well, to a certain extent, yes. Not brilliant, not great. We're not really seeing any development in the sharpening there by adding some more over the top. And I'm going to mouse down again and paint some more in, and really it's not doing a great deal of difference. So we've transferred all the data in once into our original layer from the sharpened layer, and then we tried to add some more, and tried to add some more, and it wasn't having it because we were just transferring into the original. And once you've done it at 100%, it's in there. But if we go and try blend mode and do the same again, you can see what's happening here. We're actually getting some increase in saturation as well. So I know you've got to get your heads around this. We're using a sharpened part of an image, painting into it with the history brush, but getting some saturation. One way of overcoming that, if you just want to paint sharpening in or increase your sharpening, is to actually change the blend mode to luminosity, and you can see there it's getting quite sharp without any color shift. Let's just move this up here so you can see what's going on. So I'm now painting. It might not show up on your screens. Look at this in HD. It should be on 720 HD if you can click on it in the little icon on the YouTube player. I'm painting luminosity, so I'm really only affecting the light values and no color values in there. And so you can paint your blurring without your sharpening, without affecting your color values, which is a useful little thing to have. And don't forget as well, of course, you've got your edit and fade in the top there. A bit more painting over there, that's fine. So we've we put sharpening in, and let's zoom out. Control O, Commando, that should take you out to full screen again. Blur. Now this has just got a bit of Gaussian blur on it, not too much, about 40, dialed in on the slide at the bottom. Just make this brush a bit bigger. Don't forget to use your square brackets. So I'm transferring some blur data into my original. You can see there everything's going hazy, wazy and blurry. Not a great look really. It just looks like you've had a bad day with focusing your lens. But if we painted it in an overlay, something could be different. But we've also got, before we change our history states, the chance to go back in and change the blend mode. And all of a sudden you can change your blur into an overlay blend mode. So that's our original there. We've painted some blur in. Now this is useful if you're doing portraits, that kind of thing. You can actually soften down skin. I'm not saying doing this at 100%. You will play around from now on and you can actually add a blur. Okay, there's a bit of concentration of your colours going on, your saturation is increasing a bit, but you will get that softer look and feel to your image by using a blur layer with your history brush in overlay blend mode. I know it's probably best if you come back into this again after having to think about it and play with it again. There's a lot of information to take in on this, I know. You've got your blend modes, you've got your edit fade blend modes, you've got flow and opacity, which we're trying to keep at 100% to start with. We've got the fade history brush option there. I'm not going to say learn the shortcut because I never use a shortcut anyway. You can have too many shortcuts in your head and not know what you're doing in the end. The brush itself, when it sits next to a layer, it's taking the data, history data from that layer and painting it into another one. So we can see there we're painting the inverted layer in overlay blend mode at the top there into our already blurred layer, so you can just keep stacking these up and keep going and going. One thing I will say is that if you're doing this, it might be idea to take snapshots, which is the little camera down the bottom there. I've just gone past it, and just do what I've done here and name them. So that's our original there with our black and white. We had all these different conversion methods there, and you can see there by just painting history data from one to another with a different sort of blend mode, you can create some really interesting things. Now there's the new snapshot button. If you click on that, you'll create a new snapshot. You can rename it whatsoever. We'll probably come back to this and have a look at History Brush with selections next time, maybe. But for the moment, thanks for coming by again, and bye for now.